Let me first start by thanking everyone in attendance today. Wanda and I developed this little presentation, and when we did, we felt like it would probably be just the two of us. So as I read this, you may notice it's more about the two of us, but we want to include all of you in saying farewell. We are here today to say our last farewells to our dad, Bud Bean. This was a very informal in service as he had wanted. In the last months of his life, I've had the opportunity to spend some time with him. During these many visits, we discussed his life and his death. Those conversations were very straightforward, as many of you would have expected dealing with Bud. In life, he spoke about how he had lived on his own terms. While he enjoyed his life, he realized his approach may have caused harm to others, and he wanted them to know how sorry he was for that. He was very proud of his family and those folks around him. He spent a lot of time talking about his trailer and his life on the trailer. I cannot tell you how many times I heard about the patio, how he enjoyed sitting there watching the traffic and listening to the music, or on those Sundays he would have his beer and watch his favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs. While he realized his health was slipping away, he had great hopes that he would recover. He had referenced how his mom, our grandmother, had lived on her own for so long in life. While I was being told it would be a long shot for him to return to his independence, he hung on to that thought of another day, of another patio, someday, somewhere. He accepted living in assisted living because he believed once he got better, he'd be able to find his independence again. Unfortunately, his body had made a decision as far back as June that that wasn't going to allow him to be alone again. In visiting with his regular doctor, I was told, quote, "I have no idea how he's lived this long. He has so many problems." He was in and out of the hospital from June to October. When he returned to the hospital in October, after a short stay, it appeared things would be better. But on October 16th, his body made a major shift. On October 17th, he asked the doctor what the chances were that he would recover and live independently again. Even though the doctor said his focus was on just getting him better for the next day, Dad pushed and pushed and pushed for an answer. Finally, the doctor replied, less than 50%, if that. Dad thought for a bit, and then he announced that he did not want to live by being supported by others. He said it was time. He stated his last wishes were to have a cold Sprite, a slice of watermelon, and a beer which I learned later would be Keystone. While he was ready on the evening of October 17th, he was told he had to wait until October 18th to make arrangements. While the doctor in charge said it could possibly be days or even weeks before he passed, Dad announced on the morning of October 18th he was going to die today. He got his last wishes. He drank 2 Keystone beers, had his watermelon, and drank his Sprite. At about 2 p.m. that afternoon, he fell asleep. At 8:21, his heart stopped beating. I share this story because it serves as an example of how he lived. All those years he fought the odds, but on October 17th, he made the decision that he was ready, and on his terms, he decided when and how he would die. He outlined how he wanted to be treated once he left this world. He told me repeatedly that he needed to be simple, that he wanted to be cremated and his ashes buried in Manchester. We spoke often about his choices, even on the 17th and again on the 18th. I asked him again, would he like a funeral? Was he sure about cremation? And did he really want to be buried in Manchester? To all those questions, he assured me. But what seemed even more important to him was his poems. He had written these poems over the years, and he wanted a few of these read at his gravesite. The only thing he did not know at the time of his death was that he would be buried alongside his mother, our beloved grandmother. To get this started, I will read the first poem that I found in his notebook. He had all his poems organized in a notebook, and as I said repeatedly, he asked me, do I have your poems? Did I find those poems? Would I read those poems at the gravesite? This first poem goes as follows. As the sun sets and my feeble body comes to rest, another day has passed and his old body still lasts. As I lay back to reflect on the past and days gone by, I would like to apologize to all before I die. Self-centered and egotistic, with my only cares, it's hard for my soul to bear. Some guilt I've had for you all to think I was so bad. I've shared a series of poems whenever you guys have had an opportunity to read them. What I would like to do now is to share in a prayer together. You all have a copy of the Lord's Prayer. If you would join with me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive them that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I think it is important for us to remember who he was. He lived his life to the fullest. His desires for us would not be to grieve his loss, but rather to celebrate his life. So as I read the last poem that he wrote, you are more than welcome to stay here as long as you wish. But please, for his sake, go forth with renewed memories and live your life. With that, this was one of the poems I felt was very fitting to end this service. This was written by Bud himself. I look toward the cemetery and think of the past. Most of all, those people are forgotten at last. I look at the headstones with the dates that say, I was here once, but that was long before yesterday. As people dwindle and my life is gone, will I just be another forgotten song? The choice of cremation has entered my thoughts, turned to dust, forever lost. If there is a difference, I ask you, if I'm gone to heaven, you shouldn't feel blue. My soul is what is truly me, so my body and life was just there for you to see. Again, Juan, and I'd like to thank you for your attendance today.